there is an all too common misconception in some people's minds that South America can be summed up by just three things: the Spanish language, rainforests, and maybe if they're feeling generous, Machu Picchu. However, South America is a far more diverse and unique continent than most people realize. The continent is home to the Amazon, the largest rainforest in the world, the Andes Mountains, the second highest mountain range anywhere in the world, large and incredibly dry deserts like Patagonia and the Atacama Desert, as well as massive plains and wetland regions like the Pampas and the Pantanal. It contains the 5th and 8th largest countries in terms of area in the world, Brazil and Argentina, as well as the 6th most populous nation in the world, Brazil. There are 12 entire nations that call South America home, and there are definitely going to be some surprises along the way. So, without further ado, let's discover the countries of South America. Hey all you bitizens of the internet, welcome to Learnabit. Today we're going to continue a series you guys have been asking for a lot. 3 facts about every country in the world. After North America went so well, I decided we need a video about every country in South America. So, just before we begin, I just want to mention that while I was editing this video, a well-known YouTuber named Wonder Why put out an excellent video on 1 fact about every country in the world. So I just want to acknowledge it, and because I'd already recorded all of this, some of our facts are going to be similar. This 3-fact series is one that I've already published 2 videos for, and I've had this video in the works for a while now, but I did just want to address that there was another similar video put out so that it doesn't look like I'm copying anyone else's work. We'll be going through the countries alphabetically, so strap in and let's get started with Argentina. Don't cry for me, Argentina. No, sorry, I was a musical theater kid for a long time ago, and I'm allowed 1 obligatory Evita reference, okay? Sorry, not sorry. The name Argentina means land of silver, and as will become very ironic in a moment, actually comes from Italian, not Spanish. The word for silver in Spanish is plata. And so, the name of this nation's most important river, Rio de la Plata, or River of Silver, makes a lot more sense in this context. The country was named by Italian explorers working for the Spanish crown, and hence the Italian name. And despite its Spanish cultural roots, Argentina is actually now predominantly of Italian ancestry, 62.5%, due to a long history of massive immigration. Argentina is also home to the highest number of psychologists per capita in the world, at 106 psychologists per 100,000 people, making it a very mentally healthy country. Interestingly, in Argentina, the major political parties actually have and make their own brands of beer. Yeah, seriously, even drinking can get political. Bolivia. Now, Bolivia is a large country in the center of South America, which operates very unusually compared to its neighbors. Officially, it is known as the plurinational state of Bolivia, which is very appropriate. Spanish is co-official with 36 other indigenous languages. The national government and the governments of all of the departments, basically like states or provinces, are required to use at least 2 languages, 1 being Spanish. The other language or languages are up to each department or municipality to decide, depending on their population. The largest language communities by native speakers are Spanish, around 45%, Quechua at around 25%, Aymara at nearly 17%, and Guarani at 0.7%. Bolivia's capital situation is confusing. Its constitutionally mandated capital is Sucre, and the Supreme Court is located there. However, the president and the legislature are still located in La Paz, making it the effective seat of government. Whether or not La Paz is the capital city actually matters quite a bit, seeing as the city advertises itself as the highest capital city in the world in terms of elevation, at 3,640 meters, or 11,942 feet above sea level. If Sucre at 2,790 meters, or 9,153 feet, is determined to be the capital, however, then Bolivia loses the title of highest capital city to Quito, Ecuador, which is higher than Sucre by just under 60 meters or 150 feet. Now, Bolivia loves salt, like loves. The world's largest salt flats, Salar de Uyuni, are located in the country, and if you want to tour them, you can actually stay in a hotel made entirely from blocks of salt. Brazil. Now, Brazil is the titan of South America. With by far the largest population and land area of any country on the continent, Brazil is a truly massive and vibrant cultural powerhouse. Now, it's super important to note that Brazil does not speak Spanish. It speaks Portuguese. And here's a fact I bet you didn't know. Brazil's population is so massive, in fact, that the continent of South America actually has as many Portuguese speakers as it does Spanish speakers, if not slightly more. Brazil alone has over 200 million native speakers of Portuguese, around 90% of the world's native speakers. Few people know that because of Brazil's massive population, Portuguese is actually the 6th most spoken language in the entire world, and the 3rd largest European language after Spanish and English. There is a very common misconception that Brazil's capital city is Rio de Janeiro. Fun fact, in Portuguese, the city is actually pronounced Rio de Janeiro. And Rio, or Rio, did used to be the capital city until 1960, when a new capital, Brasilia, was constructed in just 41 months by famous architect Oscar Niemeyer. The city is built in a very futuristic style, and its layout was actually designed to be in the shape of an airplane. Brazil actually has a long history of designing unusual cities, particularly in the Amazon. In the late 1800s, the Amazon rainforest seemed like an ideal place to grow rubber trees, and made the city of Manaus the richest city in all of South America at the time. American car manufacturer Henry Ford took notice and invested huge sums of money trying to build his own rubber manufacturing city in the middle of the Amazon, which he humbly dubbed Fordlandia. Very unusually, he built the now abandoned city in the style of American Midwest cities. So kids, that's the story of how Henry Ford built a Midwestern-style ghost town in the middle of the Amazon rainforest. Weird. Chile. Now, Chile is one long boy of a country, perpetually denying Argentina access to the Pacific Ocean, and also Bolivia, and they're still very salty about this fact, please don't kill me. The world's largest swimming pool, spanning over 20 acres, is found in Chile at San Alfonso del Mar. The pool is 1,013 meters, or 3,323 feet long, and may have cost up to $2 billion to construct. Chile is also an incredibly safe country. It has the lowest homicide rate in all of Latin America and the Caribbean, and the second lowest in all of the Americas, after only Canada. Chile is also home to the world's oldest mummies, at over 7,000 years old. This is 2,000 years before the ancient Egyptians are known to have practiced mummification. Colombia. Colombia is an incredibly diverse country in all ways. It is the only nation in South America to have coastlines on both the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Its capital, Bogotá, is seated high up in the Andes Mountains, while many of its most popular tourist destinations are thousands of feet below on the beaches of Cartagena and Barranquilla. Colombia is home to Latin America's only confirmed, still living Spanish-based Creole language, Palenquero. There are loads of French, English, Portuguese, and even Dutch Creoles all over the Americas and all over the world. But famously, there are surprisingly few Spanish Creole languages, especially when given how vast, geographically diverse, and populous the former Spanish colonies were. It is unusual that there are only a few known Spanish Creole languages in the world. Colombia is also very proudly the world's leading emerald producer. While exact figures are very hard to come by, it is possible that between 50 to 90% of the entire global emerald supply comes from Colombia. Speaking of underground riches, the country is also home to a very impressive giant underground church carved out of an old salt mine. Ecuador. Now, Ecuador literally means the equator in Spanish, as the country straddles the equator. It is perhaps best known for the Galapagos Islands, a unique ecological region where Charles Darwin first made many of his observations about evolution. In fact, the Galapagos Islands, along with the capital of Ecuador, Quito, were actually 2 of the first 12 places in the world ever to be designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And here's something I bet you didn't know. Due to the centrifugal force of the planet's rotation, the Earth's crust bulges out slightly at the equator. Because of that fact, the highest point in Ecuador, Chimborazo, is actually the farthest point on Earth from its core. This also makes it the closest point on Earth to space, even closer than Mount Everest. While Everest is the highest mountain from sea level to summit, the several kilometer bulge near the equator pushes Chimborazo closer to space than Everest. In 2008, Ecuador also became the first nation to guarantee constitutional rights for nature, mandating its protection. French Guyana, what? France in South America? Okay, now this one isn't really a full entry, but since France does have a fully incorporated department equivalent to a state or province on the continent, French Guyana does deserve an honorable mention. As an integral part of France, French Guyana is a full part of the European Union, in South America. It even uses the euro as its currency. French Guyana is actually where the European Space Agency launches most of their rockets from. Because of this territory, France's longest land border is actually with Brazil. And French Guyana even has the largest national park in the entire European Union, the Guyana Amazonian Park. Guyana, not to be confused with French Guiana. Now, I'm just going to warn you, there is so much about Guyana that seems like it can't be real, but it very much is. Officially named the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, this country is the only English-speaking country in all of South America, and in fact is one of the most interesting and diverse nations on Earth. The largest ethnic group is actually South Asians, at around 40%, followed by Black Guyanese at 29% and Mixed Guyanese at 20%. Similarly to Trinidad and Tobago and its neighbor Suriname, many indentured South Asian laborers were brought to Guyana by European empires during the colonial period. The majority of the entire country is actually still claimed by Venezuela to this day, a territorial dispute going all the way back to Venezuelan independence from Spain. And, given there is possibly oil in the area, this dispute has serious economic consequences. Guyana is home to the Kaieteur Falls, the largest single-drop waterfall in the world in terms of volume of water flowing over it. Water drops over 226 meters or 741 feet from the top to bottom in one continuous drop. Paraguay. Paraguay is a fascinating nation in the heart of South America with a unique characteristic. Almost the entire population is bilingual in both Spanish and an indigenous language, Guarani. This is the only country in the Americas where an indigenous language is spoken by the vast majority of the population. The entire country gets almost all of its power from the Itaipu Dam, which the American Society of Civil Engineers declared one of their 7 modern wonders of the world. Paraguay is the only country in the world that has a flag that is different on the front than it is on the back. Its seal in the center of the flag contains 2 different images depending on which side of the flag you're looking at. Peru. Peru is a nation on the west coast of South America that is rich with history and culture. It is the site of the former Inca Empire, the largest known indigenous pre-European empire in the Western Hemisphere. Peru is actually the birthplace of the potato, where they've been grown for about 8,000 years. Peru has one of, if not the highest, sand dune in the world. Cerro Blanco towers over the landscape at over 3,860 feet high. If you visit Peru, you will inevitably encounter Inca Kola, Peru's favorite soft drink. Until it was bought out by Coca-Cola in 1995, Inca Kola was one of the only local soda brands anywhere in the world that was able to compete with both Coca-Cola and Pepsi, having a higher market share than both companies in Peru. It remains a symbol of national pride to this day. Suriname. Now, before you saw this video, would you have believed someone if they told you that there is a Dutch-speaking country in South America? What's more, the small population is unbelievably diverse and multicultural. Around 37% of the population is of African ancestry, split between Maroons and Creoles. 27% is of East Indian ancestry. 14% are ethnically Javanese from the Indonesian island of Java. 13% are mixed heritage, and the remainder are largely of indigenous, European, Chinese, or Middle Eastern descent. It is the only country in the Americas where a slight majority of the population is not Christian. Around 48.4% of the population is Christian, which still makes it by far the largest faith in the country. Suriname also has the highest percentage of Muslims in the Americas, at around 14% of the population. They are largely either of Indian or Javanese ancestry. Uruguay is a small but fascinating country wedged between two giants, Brazil and Argentina. It was briefly conquered by Brazil, and along the border region you can still regularly find speakers of an unusual blend of Spanish and Portuguese, affectionately referred to as Portuñol. Think Spanglish, but with Portuguese instead of English. But Uruguay is far more than just a combination of its neighbors. Uruguay actually has the longest national anthem anywhere in the world by length, at 105 bars of music. Uruguay is also a rather liberal country in a region known for traditionalism and religiosity. In 2013, Uruguay interestingly became the first country in the world to nationally legalize marijuana, and is the least religious country in South America. It has even renamed some of its religious national holidays, such as Christmas, which is now officially Family Day, and Holy Week, which is now officially Tourism Week. Venezuela. Venezuela's name means Little Venice, after Italian explorers saw natives rowing canoes in the Bay of Maracaibo. The country is the birthplace of Simón Bolívar, the liberator of much of South America. Venezuela is a perennial winner of beauty contests. The country is tied with India for the most Miss World beauty pageant winners of any country in the world, at 6 Miss Worlds, and has even produced 7 Miss Universe winners as well, including one who ran for the presidency of Venezuela in 1998. Venezuela is home to the most likely spot on Earth to see a lightning strike, at the mouth of the Catatumbo River over Lake Maracaibo. This is due to an ongoing lightning storm that takes advantage of several unusual quirks of Venezuelan geography. Venezuela is also well known for being an oil-producing country, but many people are actually unaware of just how much oil the country truly has. It has the largest proven oil reserves of any country in the world, larger than even Saudi Arabia, Russia, or Iran. It also has the cheapest oil prices in the world thanks to massive government subsidies, which keep oil prices at a cool 1 cent per liter. So hopefully now you know much more about the amazing continent of South America, and I hope you all enjoyed. Be sure to let me know some other cool facts down in the comments. If you liked the video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content. This has been Learnabit. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.